Hey guys, Ben here again. Welcome back to the channel. We've got another cool project for you here today as always. This time it's a 1979 BMW 323i. This customer bought a Supersprint catback exhaust system, which is not compatible with the aftermarket rear diff cover that they decided to go with. They've modified that themselves and have brought it in and asked us to help them modify the exhaust to fit everything. Like once we get this cut, how we've kind of figured out where our path is going to be, and then depending on the angle that I clock this at is the trajectory that we'll get. So productivity. So when working with this sort of thing, the important thing is to make sure that everything is in place as it should be, meaning like if you start mocking things up and you have a lot of play in this tube, then whatever design you come up with isn't going to work out well because it's going to end up moving what. So I mean, that's kind of where I'm going with it, roughly speaking. The tricky part is getting it all to fit the way that it needs to with the other piece that's involved. Zip tie approach, we'll forego that at this time.
Took a page out of your book. High-speed zip ties.
Yeah, man. Everything comes down to 200-mile-an-hour tape typically. 200-mile-an-hour tape, bro. That's how we get her done. So the problem here is just the tip length, because like that's also an important factor to keep in mind. Is this guy is probably, you know, 1/2 of an inch inside of this line here, so we're going to want to try and mimic that on the other side as best we can. And the tip, in order to try and get things aligned the way that he likes. Fine details, really. But now I'm gonna make a mark on there so that I can tack the pieces together. Pretty happy with alignment so far. Back after mounted him up and trimmed it back so that we have a nice trajectory to get underneath. And then I made the cut on the other end here so that I could clock it, because originally it was up a little bit. Now I've got the ability to clock it down and try and meet the angle that we're trying to approach on the other end. So, and I've got the tip pretty much aligned in the place of where the other one is. Paying attention to how much we're sticking out and trying to match that on both sides here. So I think what we'll end up with is me clocking this arm here and then adding an elbow in the middle there. And we'll figure out alignment of hangers and all the rest of that stuff. There's obviously a slight difference in the diameter of the tube on this, but because it's a vehicle that doesn't produce a lot of horsepower, the customer isn't too concerned about that. They're totally fine with us using a slightly smaller tube inside of that. That's going to give us the best fitment and allow us to achieve the end result that they need. And as far as the cover goes, obviously we were not the ones that modified the cover, but the customer has requested that, you know, we just leave it alone, and we're here to help them fix the exhaust section, and that's what we're doing. So obviously it would be nice to put a little time into cleaning up the cover, but everybody has their own standards. All right, so I've got things pretty well fitted and mocked up at this point. You can see how we've got everything fitting as far as clearance for the rear diff goes. Got nice clearance, and I've got a glove wedged in there for, you know, all the mock-up stuff, but because of not only the way that this is designed, but it has slip joints, so things are going to tend to sag even after I put them together and they're really, you know, tight. Expansion and contraction. So even after I remove the glove, you can see how things are still going to sit. So we will want to end up adding an extra hanger in there so that you can make sure that you don't have that problem. But we did fit it all up and try and make it work without, and it's not going to work because of the way it's designed. So we'll add another hanger here once we get everything welded up here, finalize the welds in this rear section. So to answer your question, we're going to go ahead and put a hanger on first because we want things to hang where they need to be before we finalize the rear section. And then, you know, we'll weld that off car, and we'll also weld this off car. And I'll triangulate that so that it's stronger because could use a little bit more. And now that we've got it tacked into place, we can do a proof of concept, which is it holding? Yes, it is. So, I mean, would I like to get more out of it? Yeah. So I might bend it some more. Okay. Or even change out the hanger itself to a different style. Because like that style is a little bit more droopy than the style that's over here. And you know, that's kind of the dance to getting this dialed, so to speak. But for overall fitment, I think we're in good shape. If we were doing V-bands, I would make things more like rigid and finalized, but because we're doing a slip joint setup on this and you can slide them in and out a little bit, you've got a little bit more play, and it allows for a little bit more, you know, simplify. You don't have to be so committed on everything because you're going to have some play in everything. Like for instance, that's not even really fully tight over here. And you can see how much movement that's getting. So once we finalize everything more, we'll see more of what we're expecting. So when you see us purging gas through the inside of the tube like this, and we've got both sides plugged, there's a pinhole on this side because I just don't happen to have the right size plug for this, or the one that I have would fall out because of the way the flange is designed. But we're purging the inside of the tube with argon gas, which is the same gas that we're using to shield our arc when we're welding. And what that does is give you the pretty colors on the inside that you see on the outside, but more importantly, it does not have the oxidation that you get without purging the inside. So that's the reason for doing that. So we got some anti-seize and some lock washers so we don't have the threads gaw on us. And we also don't have the nuts back out on us. Be a little messy in the short term, but once you get it dialed, it's all good, man. All good. So now you've got your transition and all of your mufflers are in place. Not a huge fan of the overall design and like I said, the slip joints and stuff, but we got it to fit for you. I think it came out pretty nice. And the only piece of material that we needed was just this little 45. So all the rest of the material is your own, with the exception of the hanger, of course.